I've been watching a lot of content recently about not making everything perfect. And I wanted to do a video that was a lot less scripted and felt a lot more personable. And the funny thing is, I have this like webcam here that maybe I'll show you at the end that it doesn't even really properly work. So I want to make things that are more consistent and will be around something like weekly. I don't want to promise anything, but maybe even more than that. Because I find that this channel used to have a lot of tutorials on it. And yeah, they weren't, I think they served their purpose. Sometimes you could search things like how to jump in Unity in Google and you'd find our channel. And some people found me. I got some work through that in the past, which was really cool. But yeah, I think that tutorials are not super I'm not super passionate about making tutorials. And while I think they can be helpful, I don't think that they necessarily, I don't know that they get someone over the edge. I think that like something that does get somebody over the initial hurdle, and there's a word for it, a curve, let's call it curve. I think like that's more once they get the tools, solve something. And I think a tutorial can help you get there. A lot of tutorials helped me make things to begin with, get started somewhere. And then the learning curve was really challenging myself to be able to use that kind of stuff in my own new scenarios that I was creating, right? Like in a new game or in a new whatever it is. Since I'm on that topic, I did want to talk about I've been doing a lot more mentoring recently. I've been on ADP list. People have been booking, and it's been fun for me. As you know, I started this channel, I think in like 2015, and I wanted to. Back then, I had this idea that you could kind of lay out a pattern of how everything should go and how you should do everything. But things are more like I think in life, this kind of teaching or mentoring is more help somebody figure out how they can solve problems because not every case is going to be the same. And yeah, I think, I've been mentoring a lot recently. It's been enjoyable for me. I have fun doing it. I think it's rewarding and fulfilling, and it helps me develop my skills as a mentor. So yeah, I think I might leave the link for the ADP list. I do have an ADP list. That's been fun. And I'll definitely have the mentoring open. I mean, we'll work something out depending on what people are saying and how these videos go with being able to either sign up or just directly communicate with me. I have emails out there, ways to contact me through some of my sites, as obviously I do like custom software development. So, okay. So you'll see a lot more unscripted content. I think that I'm a lot more effective at it. I think that's something I've also learned doing the mentorship. I used to do a lot of preparation for these videos, and it felt like a losing game because it was always trying to catch up and make way too much content that I wasn't super interested in. I love game development. I love software development. I love talking about it. You know, I have fun doing it all the time in the morning, night. Yeah, I think that I love the subject matter, but I don't love the work stream of building a tutorial because there's actually a lot that goes into it. You can't just kind of like talk at a camera like this. You have to kind of make the thing ahead of time, prove that you can, not prove that you can do it, but prove that it is a thing that exists, right? First, they have to make the product that you're going to show someone how to build. Then you kind of have to take it a step back. You have to like, save the starter project, then you have to take it a step back and go all the way through. And it's this whole process. Then you have to make sure you didn't mess something up. And then if you do mess up in the video, it's like, oh, well, you have to figure out where you stopped and then move the code back to that state because you want to make sure people can follow what's happening. And it's yeah, for me not super enjoyable, but I know, I enjoyed that people were getting a lot of value out of it. And I saw all the comments, and it used to be great to see that. Yeah, so I'm hoping to help people in a way that I think I'm more effective at. Actually, that's what I've been doing recently through mentorship and just in general through work and life and that kind of stuff. That's something I want to be better at. I think it's fulfilling. I think it's enjoyable. Yeah, let's move on to. I want to talk about kind of the state of where things are at. Uh, so a lot of people, I think, there's a couple things that happened, and actually, Actually, even I got affected because I was in gaming at the time. There were a lot, but there's like two relevant ones to, let's say, this channel in my life, which is kind of there was a gaming explosion and also a development explosion when it comes to like the market. And I guess it's the opposite. I guess it's like a implosion. I don't know. But in that, like, um, I think with venture capital, I think a lot of investors were like, "Oh, gaming's going up" when COVID happened, and then they were like, "Oh, gaming's going down" when COVID stopped being as significant. And I really don't understand the foresight there because, or the lack thereof, because you know we know people are going to go outside after COVID. Like we were freaking out being inside, even gamers, like people like me. I don't love to stay in really, but it's possible sometimes I can if some new game comes out, or if I'm just in that mood or need a break from work. It's like, yeah, I can sit around inside, but not for a year. And so of course we were all going to go outside and the numbers were going to significantly drop. And yeah, that made it so people kind of stopped paying, which is understandable, but maybe have a little bit of foresight to not invest in the first place. Because a lot of people got laid off, especially salaried jobs. Like with a contract job, at least you're expecting it's going to end at some point. But with a salary job, it really kind of screws people over. And that was bad. Actually, I think, it even affected me. Um, which I was okay. No hard, I didn't have any hard feelings, but I think that there was that side of things, and then there's also the just software development side of things, where a bunch of big tech companies kind of realized like, wait, if they can lay people off, then I also can lay people off and like not have not have any consequences, and basically instead of earning a lot more money, I can just stop spending that much. Those companies realized they could just not have to scale as much. I mean, they're still scaling, and that's still the point of a company at that point, especially, they have an IPO. But it's just like they realized, like, maybe we shouldn't pay these people this absurd amount. I think when I forget who was really doing it first, if it was like Meta or Microsoft or somebody, but I remember when Meta did it, and then just like it felt like everybody was following. Google was like, "Oh, I can do that too." All the giant dev companies, and then everybody freaked out and they were like, okay, there's no more coding, and like and here's the next big topic where people thought like, oh, everything is LLMs, everything is an AI now that's going to replace my job. And before I continue, I want to say I think I have a very like um realistic view of AI. I think I see all the benefits properly, and I think I also accurately recognize its shortcomings. And if you don't know a lot about, what's powering those models, I don't really consider them AI. I consider them to be machine learning because they're essentially models trained on data that make a prediction, but with a transformer technology, which basically means it's good at predicting like having some idea of what could the next text be, like what's the next thing I should write, or what's the next thing I should generate. I don't want to go too deep into like what the technical side of that, but maybe one day. But yeah, I think it's funny. I mean, it's horrible what happened actually, but it's just basically those layoffs happened one after the other, and then everybody saw the AI stuff, and everybody was fascinated but also freaked out. They saw like, oh, it's good at coding. And I think that like, you know, who knows what will happen, but at this point, like, I think AI is pretty important to be writing with at this point, but it's not supposed to be the driver. You're supposed to think because it's not thinking, right? It's predicting like what a good idea is, like based on previous data. And it doesn't have all of the context your app, for example, if you're building something in software. Um, Maybe one day they will have all of the context, and then as different systems, like I think Lovable is one, uh, as different systems find better ways to add more and more of that context together and find better ways to send that data around, get better and better at building apps. And yeah, instead of needing to build super generic like page builders, like underlying they could be a model that's like succeeds 95% of the time at making something that people like as a website template, for example. So that's, like, but that's a little different than building, a full app with nitty gritty details. But I think AI is really great at, and this is actually something I learned with a lot of the stuff I've been working on and building lately. Um, if you're specific, like AI is it's supposed to hear or see like instructions that tell it what to do. And then when it hallucinates, it's because that's like a nature of what it's supposed to do. It's saying like, I'm going to follow all of your instructions exactly. And then the parts that are left out, I'm going to fill in the gaps and make something generative, right? So that's what's both cool and also a problem at the same time when it comes to certain things. But when you tell it like, hey, I want a function that does that, I want it to iterate over every item in the list. I want to map that to a different value. I want to print it. I want to memoize it. And then I need you to return everything in string types. This kind of thing. It's like when you tell it really specific stuff, and I'm giving the most primitive example because I definitely do more complex stuff than that in a prompt, but it's good at that. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting on a tangent here, but I think I want to say a few encouraging words just because I think at least before a lot of younger devs or newer devs were subscribed to this channel, uh, everybody was kind of interested in gaming too. So I'm somebody, I've been able to figure out things like job markets and this kind of stuff. So, I'm not an expert, but I'm somebody who's been able to find my way. So, in that light, I do want to say to people, like, you can't worry about everything. There's a lot of noise right now that is saying, you need to do this thing, you need to do that thing. And I myself have very much been a victim of like freaking out and being like, oh, I need to chase that thing before it gets away. And sometimes that can be helpful. Sometimes there is merit to recognizing, not how do you say it? Missing out on some, opportunity, right? Um, but also sometimes you have to find that uh, intersection of where there's something that you are passionate about and it is, there's a real need for it. And it's, let's say you're good at it. It's like you want to be good at it. You want there to be a need financially for it, like people will pay for it, and you want it to be something that you like doing. Like that's the um, ideal intersection. And I think like inside of software development, like that's something that even I've struggled with is because like, what if you like games? What if you like AI? What if you don't care? You just like writing code and you're like, I don't want to deal with all this like weird complex stuff. I just want to build apps. And we want to be something like a front end full stack or a back end dev. Um, I think that it's good to monitor where things are going and good to not be replaceable. But I think ideally, like when it comes to learning a skill, you want to learn how to be really good at this is something you probably heard a lot. You want to learn to be good at learning stuff in the future. Like you want to be able to in the future learn the things that you need to learn. Uh, whether that's ML at this time or that's you know integrating with ML, or maybe it's literally still just going to be full stack engineering that's AI assisted. Um, and for some people, they're able to stay in gaming the whole time. So, for example, you don't necessarily need to do everything, but it's good to be ready to learn because as a developer, that's already a crucial skill. Developers don't just know everything. We like have to go in, we investigate a problem, and we find out what the best kind of solution is. And sometimes we investigate. I've been solving similar problems like this. What's a better system to do that? Sometimes you evaluate the systems, but not always. Because if you're always evaluating, then you're always context switching, and you're always like, how can I do something better? And sometimes it's fun to experiment. And I would recommend experimenting. Try and find like 10 different technologies, like use like gRPC and GraphQL and some Next.js thing, and then have just a REST API somewhere. Try using all three together. It's an absolute nightmare. It's horrible. So yeah, don't overdo it. But let's see my cat here. But that's why sometimes you see me looking around. So I would say, like, stay focused and don't worry about all the noise. People are freaking out about, like, oh, it's hard to get a developer job. It's hard to do this. It's hard to do that. Yeah, everything is hard. I would say, as usual, as a developer, what makes you stand out is um, you need to look like somebody who knows how to collaborate. You need to look like somebody who is going to learn, like will learn in any case, and you need to be able to like adapt to situations. Um, Aside from those things, like you need to be able to, you need to have a lot of things built. You need to build a lot of stuff. You need to have a portfolio that's saying like, hey, I worked on this, I built this, I did that, because everybody's doing that, and you just have to keep trying. Sometimes it sucks. I mean, everybody's been through bad times in life. Um, I've been through a time where I was uploading a lot of videos, but I wasn't doing well like in life because I didn't know where things were going, and we don't always know where things are going. And the best thing you can do is focus on what you do have control over, when you don't necessarily have control, and respect yourself in those moments and do what you can do to get where you need to go. And that's what I'm doing now when I have this messed up setup where over there's a camera and a ring light, but I'm using my laptop webcam. I don't have the wire for this camera. I don't have the drivers for this camera. I have to go buy new ones, I guess. And I wanted to get started on videos again and not waste time. And that's another thing, is to avoid kind of the waiting and waiting for something to be perfect. So don't wait for things to be perfect. Always be developing APT and build new stuff, keep building stuff, make a lots of examples people can pull from, and just keep going. And I would say, if you're not interested in AI, just get acquainted with it. Don't like build AI things because you think you have to. Um, if you see a real opportunity in a business need and you're like, you want to do something entrepreneurial, absolutely. If you're thinking I'm going to lose my job, don't just like immediately start like working on AI stuff. Just know what it's about. And if you do get into it, make sure you're targeting a kind of position, because people aren't hiring for a guy who is good at like guy who knows what GPT is doing and then like types to it a lot. Like people aren't exactly hiring for that, debatably. But you know, the people are hiring like data analysts and that kind of stuff. But that's not a job you can just do if you don't care about it. Like you have to be someone who's interested in data analysis to be doing a data analysis job. Uh, but for me, I love the idea of ML. I think it's interesting. Um, Primarily, I love game development. That's what this channel has always been about. Um, but yeah, so in the case, I'm kind of talking from mostly a perspective of job applications and full-time positions. Um, so, and I have a US developer perspective, but yeah, I would say, I've gotten a lot of people who kind of come around to me in the mentorships, and they're saying like they kind of want something on their resume fixed, and they'll come to me for advice on that. And I definitely have advice on that. Quantitative values, absolutely super short keywords, because people look at the thing for like 5 seconds. They want to see, oh, 500, like, I don't know, you made the company 200,000 more, cool. Oh, you put this app in like 1 million cars, awesome. That's what they care about. Nobody cares about like, I wrote this app from scratch in React and Node and everything. Here's the company, here's the technologies, then here's the keyword that says, um, where am I going with this? the keyword should just say a quantitative value, and it should say like, you know, kind of the subject matter, right? It's like if you're mentoring juniors, how did you improve their performance? Like let's say mentored 3 juniors, improve their performance by 50% over this time period. How did you improve the performance? Figure something out. It's like, for example, if for me, like one way that I would do that is I would establish standards, and I would do that through PR reviews. So when somebody opens, a code review request, then I'll go in there and I'll say, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And then eventually you establish a standard at the company. And then from there, you can say, hey, I improved these guys' efficiency because I got them all using these things. And we used to see the same kind of, we used to comment the same thing over and over and over again. And now the comments are gone. I'm spending way less time reviewing that because everybody's following a standard. The company understands and agrees that we're going to do things a certain way for the most part, not everything. Find ways to pull quantitative values from the work you did, because that's really, if you made impact, it's best for you to measure it, because people, they don't know you and they don't know your experience. And it can be very difficult to communicate it, especially as a developer, because it's like, well, I did a lot of stuff. But, again, people don't care if you did a lot of stuff. Then they're like, okay, what's the impact? So yeah, make some apps, get some users. If you can't make an impact at a company because it's, your first position, make an app. Say, I'm going to make my own company. I'm going to do my own thing until somebody gives me a position, if that's what you're targeting. Um, because that's really what people are looking for. Um, don't think about AI. Don't think about like, oh, there are layoffs. There are plenty of businesses that make stable income and are hiring people. And if that's your target, then go for that. If you don't care about that, if you're, more like I was younger, just go for something that's exciting, get positions, see what happens. Don't waste your money and just keep going. Because if you lose a position, then you get another one. Like you got to keep going. So, yeah, my advice is to just focus on the stuff that's working. Don't focus on like how you think everything could explode or how you think everything could implode. I want to talk about the state of affairs of things, because I know it feels good when you hear somebody talk about the same thing you're thinking and say something that's either reassuring or makes you think about it in a new way. If I was able to do that, that's great. I do want to talk about things that are affecting people. I realize that the mentorship sessions are fun, and so I kind of want to just like have conversations here, basically. Let me know your thoughts. I would love if you could interact with the video. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, tell me what you're freaking out about. I want to help, and I also, yeah, comments help me. But I want to talk about things that people actually care about, and I want to help. I've been mentoring for free on the ADP list. It's fun, fulfilling, and it's interesting. Yeah, let's talk about things in a more useful way in the future. Let's get there together. If you're worried about the market and the state of things, focus on what you can control. I would say don't think about it. When you find yourself thinking about it, think about, here's the stuff that I can control, and here's how I'm going to get where I need to go, where I'm targeting, says you always need a target. Yeah, so I'm just having fun because it's been a very it's been a long time since I've done a video. So I'm having fun on camera. And but yeah, I guess I should probably stop so we can upload something here. Yeah, it was fun, and I'll see you guys around. I'll probably be recording a lot of things because I'm having fun with this. I'll try and shorten them for you guys and make the content interesting. So yeah, I will see you around. Hang in there. Let's develop together. Let's keep going. We'll get there together. So see you guys next time. And don't forget to sub and hit the bell, like and comment, because I want to get this channel going again. So see you guys around. Thanks for watching.